Harshad Parekh sir, please unmute and say.
Yes. May I start now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening, friends. This evening, Swamiji Chidanandji is not here, and Dubeji is also not here. So I am requested to start this meeting, and I have selected the topic is insight from Krishnamurti's teachings. This word insight, it means inward looking. Our eyes see the things which are outside. And when we see something, then, or when we read something, then our thinking starts. And generally, we are encouraged to think and to gather knowledge of the world which is outside there. And through the schools and universities, we learn many subjects, but this insight, inward looking, that is not encouraged. And thinking, but thinking is not insight. Thinking is, thinking creates the feeling of I or me, and then we create more thinking. So our life is lived mostly in thinking, which creates thinker, the sense of I, and then this I or me creates more thinking, and we are living mostly in this plane of thinking. But insight is something different. And I learned something from Krishnaji what insight means. So I came to Krishnaji's teachings by accident when I saw a book of Krishnaji in Iowa State University bookshop, campus bookshop. And I did not know who was Krishnamurti at that time. I did not know whether he was alive or dead. But I liked the title of the book, The Flight of the Eagle. And I also liked the photograph of Krishnamurti. So I bought that book. And when I started reading the book, I felt that, yes, what he was saying was correct. Like he was pointing out what is happening in the world outside, like the problems of war, violence, corruption, are people fighting in the name of nationality and religion. And then he was pointing out what is behind all these problems, which not only between the countries, but in each human being we all go through many problems, and we are not aware of it. Problems like fear or anger or jealousy or loneliness or boredom. So when I started reading, I became aware of my own problems, what was going on within me. And at that time, I was in a different culture, and I was thinking that I am an Indian and a Hindu, and I was looking at all people through this background of being an Indian. So if I see some Indian or Hindu people, I'll be attracted to them. And if some Chinese or other people, Mexican or Canadian or American, I would try to avoid some kind of fear. So when I read Krishnamurti, he asked this question that why do you think of yourself as a Hindu or an Indian or a Chinese or American? And he said that psychologically, we are not different. What happens inside us is very, very similar. We all human beings go through many, many problems, and humanity has been suffering from all these problems for thousands of years. So when I read that, then I felt that, oh, I am not the only one who is having problem, because when you have a problem, your mind is occupied with your own problems, and you cannot see things outside very clearly. So when I read that all human beings go through these problems, then I began to, and I said, is it really so? Then I began to observe outside how people think or behave. And I found that Americans were lonely in their own country. There no relationship in the family, and people spending a lot of time watching very violent films. And that this was in 1970s, and there was a hippie movement going on, and a lot of disturbance in the life of people there. So when I realized that I am not different from other human beings, from Americans or Chinese or Arabic or Egyptian people, I began to open up. And then I lived with people of many different nationalities, many different religion. I shared apartment with them, and I did not then felt that I am different. I am a Hindu or an Indian. So this was a direct impact of Krishnamurti teachings. But then the deeper thing is where these problems like fear or anger or jealousy comes. And Krishnamurti said that all our problems come from thinking. And from thinking comes what we call thinker, I or me, thinker. And then this thinker tries to change thinking, saying that I like it, I don't like it. People want to change something what they observe. So this duality between thinker and thought, that is the source from where all our problems of psychological nature arise. So this was something very, very new to me. And I had read Upanishads and other religious books, Ramakrishna and Vivekananda and Gandhiji and all that. But this was something very new. And I felt that maybe there is something truth in what Krishnamurti says. And how can I verify if it is really true that our problems are arising from thinking itself? So if we want to verify it, we have to be very, very quiet, very silent, very curious to look inward and look at the beginning of a thought. And I was doing my PhD at that time in the Iowa State University. I had an office. So I was sitting in my chair with that curiosity to pick up the beginning of a thought. So I was looking inward and my mind really stopped. And it was a wonderful feeling of having no thought, yet being aware. And in that state of no thinking, there is no sense of I, me. Only our senses, they are alert and they can look, listen. And once I experience this state of having no thought, silent awareness, then it became very, very interesting to every time come to that state of looking without thinking. And then it began to change many things in, in my body, in my brain, in my way of looking at nature, in my way of looking at human beings, in colors and shapes. Everything looked very alive after experimenting with what Krishnamurti was saying. So what I am trying to say is that I was not thinking on what Krishnamurti was saying, because generally people read Krishnamurti and then they like to think about it, and then they like to discuss with friends, and then there is some exchange of words, ideas. But real looking, real understanding is not verbal. And as Krishnamurti says, that the freedom is at the beginning. How do you do? How do you look? Whether you look at a tree or a human being or your own thinking. Because this question Krishnaji was asking to everyone, to students, even younger students, how do you look at a tree or your friend, or how do you listen? Is your mind chattering while you are looking, or when you are listening, are you at the same time interpreting what somebody is talking, and some thoughts are coming and you want to stop that person and you want to ask questions? So that is not listening. That is what Krishnamurti is saying, that when you listen completely. You don't stop. And I saw that people were listening Krishnamurti very, very silently, at least outwardly. Pin drop silence when he was speaking, but I am not sure whether they were listening completely. That means whatever Krishnamurti is saying, understanding it non-verbally, very quickly, non-verbally, and moving with him. So that listening is an art. And he talked a lot about the art of listening, looking, learning. And last time, my friend Murli Menon spoke about this art. But the important thing is, what is the state of our mind when we look, when we listen? And the freedom is at the beginning. I tell you, Krishnamurti's friend, Raja Gopal, who edited extraordinary books of Krishnamurti called Commentaries on Living. And in this Commentaries on Living, every article, every sentence of Krishnamurti, there is a lot of thing in that. As if if a person can read one article properly, then he doesn't need to read anything, because that one article, whether it is on fear or loneliness or boredom or power or ambition or love, one article, and if a person gives full attention to it, then one has to look within oneself and read the book of our own life very, very clearly. And in that, looking and listening and learning, listening to our own self, what is going on. And in that, there is a direct learning, not gathering concepts from Krishnamurti's books and then trying to apply. It doesn't work that way. Learning is very, very immediate in the now. And that is why Krishnamurti used to tell people, don't write down what I am saying. You listen completely. And while listening, some change will begin to happen. So that state of listening, it reminds me of Buddha, when Gautam Buddha gave his first talk in Varanasi after his enlightenment, and he was talking with his 5 friends with whom he had meditated for some years. But then Buddha had moved away from his friends and he had stopped practicing or many austerities. And then something happened to Buddha and he got what we call enlightenment. And only after enlightenment, Buddha started giving talks. And the first talk he gave to his 5 friends, they were in Varanasi, Deer Park, and Buddha was describing the nature of his enlightenment. And Buddha said that what he was saying was not coming from bookish learning, it was a direct learning by looking within. And when Buddha was describing his experience, one of his friend, Kondana, he began to understand Buddha at that time itself. And Buddha looked at Kondana's face and he said, Kondana, you have got it. So Kondana was free to listen. And his mind was not chattering. He was not thinking what Buddha was saying, but he was moving with Buddha without thinking. And in such a state, something happens which is not your creation. You cannot go after this insight. Such insight comes on its own when there is the freedom to listen, to look. And once this insight happens, then that becomes the most important thing in your life. And you don't care much about earning a lot of money or becoming famous or becoming powerful, to respectability. All that thing is no longer affects you, and you feel happy within yourself. You feel as if a treasure has opened up within you, and this treasure, it cannot become less. It always increases with time, and it cannot be stolen by thieves. So that is why a person like Mirabai said, Ram Ratan Dhan Payo, Kharche na khute, chor na lute, din din badhat savayo. And similarly, Kabir said, Tere paas heere moti, mere man mandir mein jyoti, kaun hua dhanwan. So people who have this real insight, they don't need to gather much ideas, or they don't need to go to other people to discuss with them. So I feel that people who went to Krishna ji, they went to Krishna ji because they wanted to learn. They had not really seen very clearly. Even I would say people like Dr. Bohm, David Bohm, or Populji, I think they were also trying to understand Krishnamurti through thinking. And whereas real understanding is non-verbal, looking within, it comes to you when you are not asking any question, when you are not exploring a particular question like what is fear or what is boredom or what is jealousy, but your mind is open to watch whatever is happening inside you. And something is happening inside you all the time. It is like a train of thoughts is moving. And just like the train, the real with the engine, if you get into that train and take your seat, and then you don't need to do anything. You can look through the window and look at the trees or the mountains. You don't need to do anything, and you allow them to pass by. You don't think about the mountains or trees or whatever you see. Similarly, the train of thoughts is going on in every human being. So a person who wants to learn has to get into that train of thinking and then move with it. What Krishnaji calls it, moving with what is. And this what is, that means whatever is happening within you, it is moving every moment and moving with it, not saying what should be, that you want to change it, then when you want to change it, that means there is a person, the thinker, who wants to change it, and then there is a duality between thinker and thought. But in moving with what is, there is no duality, there is no thinker, there is only thinking, and that thinking is moving very smoothly. And in that, thinking is not a problem. What is happening in our life is that there is this person, I, me, thinker, and it wants to understand, it wants to change, it wants to inquire. And to me, that seems like, I give this example many times, it's like a rat with a short tail trying to catch its own tail, but it is not able to catch its own tail. So it goes round and round and round. And I saw it actually on the road in a city in America. And people were standing around this rat trying to catch its own tail. And it was going round and round. It was very interesting. And people were laughing at the rat. But the rat was caught into this mechanical activity of thinking, and rat was not aware. After 2-3 minutes, somebody touched the rat, and then the rat moved straight and escaped. So our life is like that rat. My life before I came to Krishnamurti was like that only, living in thinking, trying to change thinking, trying to be free, all that. So touching is required, and that touching came in my life through Krishnamurti's teaching. And then thinking is moving straight without creating any problem. And life is really wonderful to look at everything. Even the nature is so beautiful. There's a beautiful music. So much beauty exists around us if we are not caught into the mechanical, habitual activity of thinking. So all I said just now, it just came spontaneously because I had prepared a lot of what I wanted to say, but it more or less like that only, that the freedom is at the beginning. Like Krishnamurti says, are you the thinker, an entity separate from your thoughts? Now, this one sentence, if people give their whole energy, their mind, their attention, are you the thinker, an entity separate from your thoughts? Generally, people try to change thought because they think that they are separate. But thinker is the thought, or thinker is created by thoughts. So it is very easy to understand when Krishnamurti says, observer is the observed. And intellectually, we can understand, but really, we can understand only in the direct state when there is neither observer nor observed, there is only the observation, just like the train of thinking moving. And Krishnamurti is against imposed discipline, that you try to meditate. So that is something which most people find it very difficult to accept, that how can without discipline you can make your mind quiet. And so there are many religious people came to Krishnaji after 25 years of meditation in the Himalayas, and they said that their mind was not quiet after 25 years of meditation. That is because that meditator, the me, I, is very important, then meditation does not happen. And so many beautiful things Krishnaji is saying, like when the mind is still, not made still, a true factor, love, comes into being. So this love we is talking about is the state in which there is no self, no I, no me, who feels that he is loving. So one cannot say that I am loving, because I is a block. When I am goes away, love remains. Same thing with happiness. And our real difficulty, that why the mind keeps on chattering, because if the mind comes to a stop, there is a kind of fear, as if this I doesn't exist. So it is like a psychological death. And that is very frightening, especially when we have attachment to many things, to people, to property, to money, to house. So this state of coming to an end, the mind coming to an end, is very frightening, because in that there is no I. But actually, that sense of not having I is a real freedom. So it means that we are afraid of freedom. And people who are really want freedom, they will have to face this phenomenon of thinking coming to an end. And 1 minute. Okay. Yes, here one Krishnaji says, to be open to the source of all happiness is the highest religion. So many beautiful things Krishnamurti is saying in many different ways. We don't need to collect all the what Krishnamurti is saying, but we have to be silent, curious, very, very attentive. It's like a cat looking at a rat. So sometimes I give this example of a rat and a cat. The cat looks at the rat and the rat runs for its life and it goes in a hole. And the cat is waiting outside and the cat is very, very alert. The moment the rat comes, the cat will jump on it. So that cat, it represents that awareness, the freedom. And that rat, which has gone in the hole, is a thought. So when a person is extremely alert to look at the thought as soon as it comes, so it requires freedom at the beginning, that kind of state. And it requires a lot of energy. It is very, very, not very easy. It is very easy to describe it, but the real thing is non-verbal. So I have said enough thing. People who like to ask, make any comments, you are welcome. Thank you very much.
Ravi, you can start asking.
Yes, Ravi.
Parekh साहब काफी अच्छा
Yes,
था.
yes. Welcome, welcome. Yeah.
I would like to explore a few questions came from your talk, like observation without observer, listening
Mhm.
without listener, and
Mm.
there are few more, but I forgot. So
Mhm.
can you let me understand that thing?
Yes, so that is when you are very curious, then mind stops really by itself, not trying to stop it. One cannot try to stop the mind. If you do it, it will bounce back with more force. So what is required is a state of relaxed attention. Relax, not that you are not interested in finding out anything. You just want to look. And like one day I was looking at a tree in Valley School in Bangalore, and I was just looking at the tree. I was not thinking. And a friend, he passed by and he asked me, is there something very interesting you are looking at? So I said, everything is very interesting. Actually, I was not looking at anything in particular. I was just looking. And in that, really, you feel a real beauty. And that is why Krishnaji asked, how do you look? And in that look, there is no person who is looking. And there is what you see is very, very clear. And if something is coming to hit you, you will move away without thinking. Just like when a fly comes to your eye and your eye closes by itself, you are not thinking. So similar thing happens that you don't try to stop thinking, but thinking stops by itself when you give your whole energy, attention, but at the same time, relax, not with a sense of, I want to find out something. That I is a product of thinking. And that is our main problem.
And what is the art of
I don't,
listening?
yeah,
Sorry. What is the art
yes.
of listening? I'm trying to understand the art of listening. The case is in between. I understood few things that how Krishnamurti investigate the things, and
Mhm,
while listening, we do not try to investigate. We just listen to him, and while listening,
mhm,
we are just hearing, not listening, fully attentive, and there are
yeah,
many thoughts going on. And the second thing I
mhm,
could understand that while listening to him, we also think like that him, the way he's thinking, the way he is
right,
investigating.
right.
So what is the really thinking that the Buddha wala example and this? So in that,
Mhm,
I do feel that in Buddha wala case, we should not
mhm.
have thinking mind going on that moment. If that is not the case, then you are not able to investigate. You are just become the listener without investigating, putting your intelligence in, right?
Yes, yeah. Just listening without interpretation. That means you are like Krishna ji says, we are like two friends. We are at the same level of uh, listening and learning. So that what he demanded from his listener, that they don't think and not pure listening. And when he says you can ask question, then you ask question like that. If a question comes to you, but one can even look at the question arising within oneself and just look at it without trying to find answer. Some people can give answer to your question, but it will not have any much impact what the answer given by other people. But when the question stops, question comes, answer may come within yourself, but everything is moving. And so moving with what is question, answer, not getting stuck at any place. That is moving with what is. That is a freedom, which doesn't mean that a person is free from thinking. So many people, after listening to Krishnamurti, they, they say that thinking is the villain. We must stop thinking. It's not like that. Thinking is not the problem. The problem is lack of awareness, which is not thinking. So when in the light of awareness, any problem which comes through thinking can be seen at its root. So it is like being in a empty room and your eyes are fully open and the door is open and somebody enters through the door and you see the person has come to the room. Same way, there is this state of looking which can see a thought entering in the mind and moving, and in that thought can move around in the room and do whatever it wants to do. It will not do any harm as long as this awareness is there. And one can even, I would say, create imagination of anything which you like to create, like God or Goddess or a nature. It will not create any problem as long as this awareness is there, which is looking everything clearly. Okay, yes. Question?
Can I ask?
Yes, yes, yes,
Hi, sir.
Satish.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I hope
yeah,
you are good. Yeah, my question is regarding observation, sir.
yeah.
Um, how can you throw some light on observation and how understanding takes place in perfect while I am in perfect attention while there is no thinker. Yes, please.
Yeah. First of all, one has to be alone in beginning, and then one has to not think about what other people have said, even Krishnamurti. And then curiosity, normally our curiosity is about the thing which are outside, like scientists are curious, and even children are curious to look at a butterfly or a flower. So generally, we are curious about the things which are outside, but when we become curious about what is happening within us, say generally somebody said some unpleasant thing to you, somebody insulted you, and you became angry. At that time, can you ask, what is this anger? What is behind it? I want to go at the root of what is it, this creating anger. So when that such a question becomes very, very important to you, then the whole energy, attention will be there, and you may come to know that there is an anger because you have an image about yourself that you are very intelligent and very good looking, and somebody says you are stupid or you are ugly. And then that image which you have created unconsciously, that image gets hurt, and that it creates the anger. So to look at all this thing, it requires the freedom and energy, curiosity, attention, all that. So that's why Krishnaji says freedom is at the beginning. And that is our main difficulty. Yes.
Dinesh Bagmari.
Arun Parth is there. Let him ask first.
No, sir, you ask, then ask. Because I was listening, I just forgot the
No,
question. Okay.
Gotcha. No, actually, I don't want to ask any question. I want to say something.
Okay.
To me, actually, insight is a vision which comes as understanding, which clarifies the matter, or it clears the confusion about a matter, or it removes the ignorance. So it is basically a vision which comes as understanding, which removes the confusion about a matter or ignorance. And now what in Krishnamurti, as Harshad sir has said many things, apart from that, what has appealed to me, that I would like to just read. First is whatever he said, that you can know yourself only in the relationship. Means your reaction, etc., you can know only in the relationship. This thing I have not found anywhere in any traditional literature. The importance is given to the relationship. Means, and another thing what he said, seeing is doing, means perception is action. No reaction is revolution, and no action is transformation. We don't have time to just speak much about this, but this is what Arshad sir was saying, that you see without any observer. So perception is action, no reaction is revolution, and no action is transformation. This is what is insight he has given, which is not available anywhere in any traditional literature. Another thing what he has given is to remain with what is, address what is. Whatever your problem is or whatever your fear is, if the intensity is too high, you have to first address it, you have to remain with it, and then and you should not think, or you should not address what should be, and you should remain with the what is. Another thing what he has given is to live and not to be related is absurd thing, and one should be infinitely pliable in relationship, and that is in Audio's task. Means one has to be very, very flexible in relationship. One should be very open in relationship, And then he has also said one should be very sensitive. The sensitive word he has used, one should be very sensitive and not sentimental. Here he has also in beginnings of learning, he has clarified it in detail. So one has to be sensitive and not sentimental. Means, no attachment or no emotion should be attached, but he should be sensitive enough to see what is happening around him. Another what he has said, we have enough talked about awareness and choiceless awareness and all that, but he said that he has also given a very important insight that you should pursue the thought till end. About source also Arshad sir has said, but he has also said that you should pursue the thought, whatever you are getting, till the end. And if you complete the issue within that the thought, then that thought will end itself. It will go itself. It will end itself, and you need not to worry about it, or it will not harass you, or it will not be pinching you once again. So that also a very important point he has given. Another thing what he has mentioned, that you are the world, means you are the actually a representative of so many thousand years of civilization, and that all content that has programmed or say conditioned you somewhere in your psyche. So one has to understand the whole structure of this, and one has to be free from this. So these are the some points which has appealed to be to a great extent. Thank you.
Yeah, I like to say about this word should be. Krishnamurti did not like should be. It means that there's a determination, there is a person who says should be, it should be like that. But what is important, and to see that without this person, that is what real looking at whatever is going on without saying should be. And of course, the test of our understanding is in relationship. And without understanding, one can have all the understanding, intellectual understanding of Krishnamurti, like Raja Gopal, who edited excellent these commentaries on living, which is inexhaustible source of insights. But Raja Gopal was fighting with Krishnamurti about money and property and court case. So a person may know everything, but the real test of understanding is relationship, how we live every day, how we look, what is the quality of our mind. And yes, this is not gathering knowledge. Krishnamurti's teachings, he says knowledge is a block to understanding. So one has to drop even what Krishnamurti has said, what we have gathered, accumulated knowledge of Upanishads or Buddhism or Krishnamurti, and sit alone and be silent and look. And if a person finds it difficult to be silent, one can do pranayam for 5-10 minutes. But one must have a curiosity to just look at whatever is unfolding. And sometimes when something unpleasant is coming, we don't want to look. So we escape from our own mind and we involve ourselves in some social activity or some reading books. And so this escape is very, very strong in our life because we don't want to look at the unpleasant, our weaknesses. And as long as we are not able to look at our problems clearly, there is no freedom. So one has to acknowledge that problems like a person who gets angry or a person who feels very strong feelings about a religion or nationality has to really look at why it is that. So all this conditioning, there are so many conditionings which are buried in very, very deep layers. So only in silent observation, all this thing may come up. And when it comes up, and if we get frightened, then we escape. So that is why to be silent and to see things clearly is very difficult. Okay,
Yeah,
I finish.
I would also like to point out the one important insight which he has given, that we normally caught up in thought world. But
Yeah,
he said that actually this description is not described and word is not the actuality.
correct.
So
Yeah,
that understanding, if it is goes inside deep, then one can understand what is the structure of thought and what are the limitations of thought. And what Harshad sir is saying to observe without observer, that then he can understand what he means by that.
Mm.
That's what I think.
Yes.
Arun,
Yeah,
yeah, good
Arun,
evening, sir.
yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So actually, you mentioned about this, I mean, this awareness and all that. Like, so is it kind of a permanent state? Because you mentioned more of constant looking, and Krishna ji also mentions about this world truth as such, which he constantly mentions. So according to you, I mean, you mentioned a state where you see things very differently, and you're able to. There's more liveliness in you in the way you see your surroundings and all that. So how do you relate this to the word truth, sir, of which Krishna ji has mentioned? Is because he says it can't be defined. So that is my question. Thank you.
Yes. So your question is whether this state of awareness, is it a continuous or it is comes and goes like that? That is
Yes,
what you are asking.
yeah,
Yes.
that's one. And continued to that also is like Krishna ji also mentions about the word truth often. I mean, that is the core of his
Yeah.
thing, no? Truth. So how do you,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm confused slightly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Truth is a word which we, human beings have invented because of language, and it may mean different thing to different people. Like Gandhiji said, truth is, some people may say love is truth or God is truth, and so on. So, but what is behind this word truth? I would say it is that state in which things and thoughts are seen clearly as they are. And that is what he calls choiceless awareness. And it may not be continuous. One can sometimes, one is doing something and not be aware. So I would say it is not a continuous, but as you become more curious about looking inward, uh, you can avoid many, many problems which we generally create, a conflict with people in the daily life, or I would say there will be no boredom in your life, no loneliness, because you can see everything very clearly as long as you are fully awake. And so life becomes very enjoyable, and you begin to feel love for people without getting anything from them. It becomes a state uh, of freedom. So many things what Krishna ji says may feel very obvious to you when you are free like that, when there is no sense of I or me, there is just looking, and listening. And one great thing which Krishna ji said to one artist, and that artist was very good, but he got depressed because of some problem, and he came to Krishnaji to discuss. And during that discussion, Krishnaji said, the word parrot has blocked you from looking at the thing which flies. A beautiful sentence here. Krishnaji is saying that our looking is very dull looking. And because we have gathered so much knowledge that we don't look at a tree or a human being, we are looking through the image which we have. And the other person also looks at you with image, and there is no real relationship in such a state where we are looking at things and people with images. I got the first time I got the direct feeling of it when I met Krishnaji for the first time in Ojai, and he was standing under a tree, and we were standing in a queue to get our lunch after the talk. And a friend said, look, Krishnaji is there. Why don't you go and say hello to him? But I was very shy. I did not want to meet Krishnaji. I said, I have nothing to talk with him. He has said everything in his books. And it was true. I learned from the books and looking at myself. But my friend pushed me and he said, you just go. So when I came very close, he looked at me. His eyes were fully open, but the mind was not there. As if it was very complete silence there, he was looking. And my mind also became silent. And then I extended my hand and he took my hand. And without saying anything, I went back. And as I went back, a very nice breeze passed by me. I felt very happy. So that was a non-verbal meeting. Two people, if they can look at each other, there may be a man and a woman who are in love, or a musician and the listener. Such a thing, when it happens, when two people, they look at each other without images, there is a real love. That is a true relationship Krishnaji was talking about. Okay, I have finished.
Pradeep
Pradeep
Verma, Pradeep Verma, please, Pradeep Verma. Unmute and
Yes,
say.
sir. Yes, sir. I was listening very patiently and curiously. I've listened to all what you have said in your narrative. You started with inward looking is not encouraged. To that, I think it is because it is not easily demonstrable. Then JK's words and his image caught your attention, and how you received his words. In spite of our knowledge and everything we say that word is not the thing, book is not important, but your awakening, if you call it awakening, it happened through these two things and the thought that picked it up. Then my question actually is, how an insight is communicated? Unless and until the recipient's mind is fertile with some space, there is no chance that it will have any impact. This is what I feel. Then important insights. You are the world, then world is not the thing. Nobody can give that light to you. In nothingness, there is complete security. Observer is observed, are being discussed regularly as words and thoughts till this moment as words and thoughts. Negation is the most positive action. Have we negated his insights also? They have not penetrated inside us enough. We can say in and out. What is in and out? Even Krishnamurti questioned it. What is there to see in? He said it. So these are the questions we are regularly discussing as words and thoughts for the last, if you say, almost as many years as he was talking. So this communication, how it is communicated, insight is communicated. There was a long discussion with David Bohm on these points, Krishnamurti and David Bohm. When the insight becomes thought, and the two types of thoughts, the non-verbal thinking, but the thinking is non-verbal, but inside, how does it come? Not as words, and verbal, of course, you know that it comes out as words. Non-verbal thinking must be going on about the issue you are curious about. Any issue you are curious about. And I also don't believe that curiosity doesn't have a motive. Curiosity has a subtle motive to know. As human beings, it is so very common. It is our privilege that curiosity is there in us that wants to know. Why curiosity is important. And listening, unless until you are curious, what will you get through listening? You are there listening. You may say it is without motive. I have come here just to listen your words, and all that has happened. All through this has happened. But what is, we are very much interested in what is that we have been discussing for years and years and years together in groups and in dialogue. 2 persons or 4 persons are a big crowd. So this is what is, that we are doing it. Beautifully, you have given the example of rat and its small tail. This small tail and rat is a very beautiful example. So we have a limited mind as a tail. You see, have we become, are we in a rat race? Or we are after ideals that we keep on discussing as thoughts and words, these things regularly. And we enjoy it. Nothing wrong in it. So this is what is. And as you said, that he is not for what should be. For me, all the teachings direct me to that this is false, this is true, and this is false, and this is true. So this should word, you may not use that word should, but transformation is mutation of consciousness. And transformation, what it is not there right now. So whether time is involved in mutations, all these things will be discussed at length, but that doesn't help. So certain blocks, listening to someone, we have probably created our own blocks like this. And that's why what is like this. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pradeep Prakash.
Thank you. I ask my question why I come here to listen and talk, and so the answer is that Pradeep comes to this webinar so that he gets inspired and meets some interesting people who can maybe share some insights, but also to connect with people basically. So Harshad, I want to tell you that I like your simplicity. You know, I find you a very simple-hearted person, which is what attracts me to you. And I like to listen to you. Of course, there are, some areas like, for example, when you paint a picture of an enlightened person, freedom, love, this, what it does is to the ordinary persons like me and maybe others, it starts the becoming journey. I am inadequate. I don't have freedom. I am not loving. And this this guy has achieved it. I have to be here. I'm just saying it in a lighter way and also in a serious note. So when you do like this, you you give us the picture of a enlightened guy and say, oh, you're not enlightened, bloody, we have to be. So we start another journey, right? So this is, I find, a little contradictions in these kind of things. The second thing is that, you're talking about who gets freedom. There's a paradox here. Who is loving? Who is enlightened? The moment enlightened happened, the person vanishes. So there is no freedom to any particular person. There's no freedom to any, there's no one who is loving left. There is no one who is free. And there is no one left who is enlightened. So these are contradictions, in some ways. So anyway, that was just aside. But I really like you, and I'm very fond of your simplicity. And I would like to have dialogues with you, pull your legs, tease you, and have fun with you. Thank you. No questions.
Yeah.
Anand sir.
Ravi.
नहीं रवि सर के
आनंद।
बाद में लेते हैं सर. Anand sir, you should start first.
Yes, sir. Rama Gaud.
Rama Gaud.
Gaud. Yes,
Good
sir.
evening.
Gaud.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, yes, the previous speaker, likes Mr. Harshad Parekh. And immediately I say, he's already biased. Please, I'm just saying that, sir. So out of my likeness, I have only good things to talk about. So that's what it is. Like or dislike, again, can I observe that I'm back to my conditioning? That is what it is. And so whenever we listen to K, we seem to be interpreting him all the time. Like when we say that we have to be silent to understand things as they are, again, how do I understand that the universe is filled with sound? The earth is full of sound. And we seek silence. And meditation is, we try meditation to get some kind of peace and some kind of silence. And K has said, if you can understand the sound, in that hearing, the sound is silence. The sound of silence. And silence is not something separate from sound. The moment I say I should maintain silence, there should not be any sound, then again I'm back to my conditioning. That's back to my interpretation of what K is talking about. It is extremely challenging. And if I speak about silence all the time, I need to understand what sound is. Without understanding what sound is, there cannot be silence. The moment I resist sound, I'm back to my conditioning. I don't want something, I don't like it. I want something which I like. Over, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I say something here?
Sir, Prabhakar Sharma, sir, Wagmare, sir. Prabhakar Sharma has to say something.
Okay.
बोलने दीजिए सर.
हाँ सर.
Let him clarify.
No, Prabhakar ji, आप बोलिए. बोलिए
Yeah.
आप.
You just clarify that. You wanted to say something on that. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Actually, this has made me very curious what is this, the whole exercise of discussing for so many years, which Vermaji was talking or other Pradeep was talking. It is very interesting that both are Pradeep. So what is this exercise for? To me, this exercise is to understand that we are using the instrument of intellect to understand the phenomena which is beyond intellect. So this total discussion is to understand what are the limitations of the intellect, what our thought world, what is the structure of our thought world, how thought operates, how we are stuck up in the thought. And as Anand ji has pointing out many times, how do I get immediately got in bondage of my conditioning, and as soon as I speak, my mind always moves in the polarity of the things, and it cannot just think, or it cannot go beyond the polarity of the things. So unless this is very clear, I think one should look to this without any reservation, or with the open mind. What Harshad sir has to say.
Yes, like about the curiosity, scientists are curious about some specific problem, but a person like who is interested in learning about oneself, he has to look at whatever is happening, and as far not only when we are having a dialogue weekly, once or twice in a week, but what is happening every day and every hour or every minute. So it depends on us how curious we are to look without breaking things into fear, anger, jealousy, not naming all these things, but just looking. And that is the real beauty, where you are just looking not at what you like to know about. So here there is no topic. Everything is very much interrelated. Like if there is an attachment, there will be fear, there will be jealousy. Everything is related, interrelated in psychological world. So you can't separate one thing and look at it, but you can look at whatever is coming at any moment when you are not working, when you are sitting in your room, and not even thinking about what Krishnamurti said, all that. So that is our difficult. It depends on us only how passionate we are in looking at ourselves as we are, and not saying it should be better. So that first step of looking is the last step, it seems to me. And in that requires the freedom to look. So, okay, I have finished.
Ravi, please unmute and say.
What does it mean by holding the thought by its tail? And while investigating, we need to have logic, intelligence, and thinking. And if we are investigating, how can we listen while investigating? Thank you.
Yeah, if I say from my view, I don't know what Krishnaji means by holding on tail a problem or a question. I don't question. I am interested in looking whatever is happening. So Krishnaji asked many questions, and those questions, it did help me in looking at myself. But when I begin to look at myself, I don't need to ask. I can just look, not holding on to any particular question. So that is, in that, I feel there is a freedom to just look, not what we want to look at it.
So
Okay,
can I
I finish.
can I come here with regard to curiosity, sir? When we are curious, like, when as a small child, I would watch the millipedes with so many legs as to watch how it coordinates. There was nothing for me to gain out of it. I was just curious. It was very interesting to watch. So that is what I understand that Kay is talking about. One has to be curious, not with the end in,
Yes, true. Look at everything, as Krishnaji used to look at an ant or a squirrel or anything beautifully, exactly. And then he had the ability to describe everything so clearly, so that we also begin to see what he saw. And in that description, you feel that here this man has real observation, exactly. And not only observation, but he had the ability to express in words what he saw. And he was trying level best with so much passion. But then it depends on the listener, and whether this listener, they begin to depend on Krishnamurti, or they listen a little bit, or then they read Krishnamurti books in their house or in their relationship, they look how their mind is working. So that thing, it decides whether the person can really understand what Krishnamurti was saying, not by agreeing with him or disagreeing with him, but by looking in the daily life, everything which is happening. Yes, Prabhakar Sharma.
Sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good
Sir,
evening.
can you please differentiate the words fact, actuality, reality, and truth?
Oh. Actuality means actually what is happening, like we are now talking, discussing on the internet. That is actuality. Reality, people have a different ideas about reality. That reality is not what appears to be. Like when you look at a tree, what you see the tree, that is not the real tree. There is much more than that. And truth is something which is unknown. It may be a state where something like what Krishnaji describes, blessings or otherness or the touching the ground, all that mystical happenings which may be connected with the truth. So this is what I understand by these three things.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
One more point, sir. When we want to change from state A, mind state A, to mind state B, we are following Krishnaji's pointings or pointers. His teachings we are following. Are we not conditioned? Are we not conditioned?
Yes. Yes, we can get conditioned by even Krishnaji too. Because many things.
Moving from one position A to B,
yes,
unless you have the desire or motive, is it not possible? Is it possible to move from A to B, to change from position A to B? We have to get conditioned by his teachings, and that becomes a goal or motive or desire also. So can you please explore on this?
Yes, I don't like to move from A to B, but I just want to look at what is happening when I'm alone, not doing anything or walking, what is happening, and I don't stop whatever is happening. I am just watching. And in that, learning happens by itself. So I think maybe that is what Krishnaji means by moving with what is, not from point A to point B, not with a desire to become somebody, but just look at what is, whatever is happening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Time
Yeah.
is coming to an end. Please conclude. Arshad sir, it is already 7:29. If you wanted to say something, say it in 1 minute.
No. Yeah, only thing is that we are
Yeah.
talking everything verbally, but the real thing is non-verbal. And what we say now here in the dialogue is not as important as what we do in our daily life, because our daily life is the learning ground. And whenever we get angry, or when there is a fear, or when there is a boredom, can we look at it without trying to understand, just look at it. And that in that looking, that requires a curiosity, not to become free, but just to look. Okay, thank you. I
Thank you
feel.
very much. Modak, please end it. Thanks to everybody who participated. Thank you very much. It is already 7:30.